Hello and welcome to Saying Nova Vita. It's 2024 and we're getting ready to set off on the next season's adventures. But before we do, we're going to change the engine freshwater pump. We've got lots of parts and lots of tools to do the job, which John's going to run through with you now.
This is the new water pump, which came with 2 new gaskets, and we also bought 2 new hose tails for the calorifier and a new back plate because we don't know the condition of the one that's in the engine. We're also going to fit a new thermostat. This is the gasket jointing compound for the job. You do get some when you buy the water pump, but we've got a bigger pot of it anyway. And we're going to use this, which is radiator flush, which should clean out a lot of the nasty deposits from the water system inside. Hopefully we can get onto the drain nut, because it's a bit awkward with this crow's foot spanner, and we'll show you that in a little while. Torque wrench, extension bar, and a new seal for the heat exchanger cap. Down in here is the fresh water pump that we're changing today. We're also going to be changing hoses and cleaning the system out with radiator flush. We also have a new rubber seal that goes underneath this cap here because we're not entirely sure that one is in very good condition. To get to the drain plug on this engine, well, it's down here. Hold on. It's down there somewhere. Okay, so down in the bottom there, you can just about make out here, this one down here is the drain plug for the coolant. It's square and 17 millimeters. So it's a bit awkward to get to.
To get easier access to the engine, we're going to take off the steps. 3 very long screws on both sides. Don't lose them.
Ah!
The 6 screws are undone, and you can just gradually pull it away. There we go, makes that nice and simple access to the engine. Now that's much easier to get into where we need to go.
I pointed out where the drain plug is, and the only way I can see of getting to it, because I don't have a 17mm square socket, is using a crow's foot spanner, which looks like that, on the end of an extension. On the end of my torque wrench. So hopefully I'll be able to get this where I need it to go. Well, I tried with the straight bar and the crow's foot on the end and it didn't work, but I do have one of these universal joint type things, and I was just able to get in there enough to undo it and do it up. So that appears to be the trick to get at that particular awkward plug nut bolt thing. To get the flush in there, the radiator flush in there, I'm going to put it in the header tank, but I want it to go all the way down through this pipe, obviously, and through the system. So the plan is to empty this But if I undo it here, obviously it's all going to come flying out. So first of all, I'm going to drain this one using a vacuum pump. So now if I take this one out, there shouldn't be too much. It comes flying out. There. This is the rubber seal that we were talking about changing, because we think this one has been compressed. Let's have a look, shall we, at the difference. This is the one we've just taken off the heat exchanger cap, and this is the new one. So I think it was about time it was changed. As you can see, there's a big difference in the thickness of them. As you can see in here, it's not quite as brown as the other one was. It's not ideal because it should be green. But it's not as brown. It looks a bit dirty. So I'm going to drain some water out of here as well. Then I'm going to put the rad flush inside here, so that it's straight. I'm going to put most of it in here and a little bit in the top, and then we're going to run the engine with the new cap seal on. This is the radiator flush that we're using. Give this a bit of a wipe over, and I am going to put the new seal on, which should make it a little bit better. Yes, that's a lot better.
Looks more secure.
The rest of the flush I'm going to put up in here. I know it'll drain down the pipe. And then I'm going to fill it up with water. The plan now is to run the engine for about 30 minutes to warm it up, and that should clean all of the gunk out of the engine. Let's see. We've run the engine for 30 minutes with the cleaner in it, and as you can see, that's the state of what's inside now. So we're going to drain this one off, and we're going to repeat the process.
We're going to pour from our vacuum pump into our container. Not before time, I think.
This is the drain plug for the freshwater coolant side of the engine, and this goes down in there. Nasty. The plan now is to take off these calorifier pipes and try and suck out the vacuum pump whatever's left in there, as much of that as we can get out. Put the vacuum pump inside, put a little bit of tissue there just to make it a little bit more airtight seal. Drop that one down and then start pumping. As you can see, it sucks it out of the calorifier as well. We're getting ready for the second emptying of the cooling system and see if we get less mud this time. This is the result of number 2 flush. As you can see, it's much clearer.
Well, we're just clearing up after day 1, it seems to be, of the engine maintenance of doing the water pump. We've managed 2 engine flushes today. The first one was really dirty, as you saw, really black, lots and lots of black bits and horrible gunge. The second one was a lot clearer, and right at the end it actually came through quite clear and no bits and pieces. So as you can see, it's getting a bit dark, so we've called it a day, and tomorrow will be part 2. See you tomorrow for the actual water pump.
Yes. Finally, the water pump is going on tomorrow.
Yes. See you later.
We need to take the belt off. So we loosen the alternator. That's the belt off. When you come to take the pulley wheel off, obviously to undo it is really awkward. So the trick to it is to put a spanner on there and then gently tap downwards. As you can see, it just loosens it enough for you to be able to undo it.
Hey, good trick. All 4 undone, and off we go.
You can see on here how many bolts you have to undo all the way around to get it off, which looks to be 10.
Just undoing them fractionally, each one. Once we find out where they all are. Also got the 2 water pipes to take off as well, as they're attached to the water pump. Once we've undone the rest of the bolts. Some residual water left in the pipe, so we're just using the vacuum pump to get rid of that. It's the second water pipe taking off, Jubilee clip coming off first, just pushing that back on the pipe. There's another Jubilee clip there to undo in order to be able to take the water pipe off. Sacrificial tea towel to cover the alternator should any water come out when we take the pump off. Always keep your old ones, you never know when they're going to come in handy.
I'm assuming that all the bolts are going to be different lengths, therefore I'm just going to draw around the new pump on a piece of cardboard. I'm numbering where all of the bolts go, so I don't put the wrong ones back in the wrong place. Then as we take one out from here, what I'll do is I'll poke it through the cardboard in the place where it came out, so that I know it's in the right place when I put it back. Because one of them is a nut, I'm going to hold it in place with a screw.
Just a random screw that we found in our stock of screws.
All the bolts are out, stuck in their respective places. As you can see, they're different lengths on the back.
That was worth doing then.
There's the water pump off. All I have to do now is clean up the mating surfaces to get the new one ready to go on. That should take a while. You can see inside where we've cleaned out in here with the engine cleaner, how much cleaner that is in there from the rusty mess that it was. I now just have to clean up these mating surfaces and put the new pump on. To get the back plate off, you just have to undo this one here, because in behind the back plate is the thermostat. That's what you have in behind there. There's this big spring, and there's the old thermostat. In order to put the calorifier fittings on here, we have to take these two plugs out and put the hose tails on. So again, I'm going to use the crow's foot spanner to get these off. These look like they've been put in with thread lock.
So that's blue Hylamar going on the calorifier tails, putting the calorifier hose tails into the water pump. Next stage is a thin film of the Hylamar around the water pump. Then there'll be a thin film going on both sides of the gasket and also on the back plate. John's actually using the small tube that we got with the kit of the Hylamar. Just a small little tube, but it looks like it's probably going to be sufficient to complete the job.
This one's to go on here, so. Now the water pump goes up that way. So when you put the thermostat in, I'm told that the air relief valve goes at the 12 o'clock position. So make sure you get your thermostat in the right way up.
Application of the compound on the gasket on this side, and then
Thermostat's in. Big spring. Back plate. I have to do this one up. According to this, if you can see it here, you should put sealant in this area here, which looks like it's this area here. It says here, and then in a square.
and some more on the outside surface.
Let me know in the comments if you think I've overdone it with the Hylamar.
Sorry, shaky camera moment there as I was having a giggle. This is not going to leak, is it? No, it's not going to leak. Better not. It won't. Perfect. So on the clean block surface, we've now applied a thin coat of the Hylamar sealing compound, and soon we shall be putting the water pump on. But first, before we put the pump on, I'm going to give the bolts a good clean. Water pump slotted back into place really simply.
Here's my layout, which means I can get the bolts exactly back where they're meant to go.
So John put the bolts in all finger tight to start with, and is now going around and securing them. Last two will be the alternator bolts, which we're going to put a little bit of thread lock on to stop them vibrating loose when the alternator's in use. reconnecting with the water hoses now. That's the one on. Bit of a clean up whilst you go. Reversing the process of tightening them up using the hammer.
Gently. Using a hammer gently.
Next up is clarifier hoses back on the nice new shiny tails. Oh, wow. In an unexpected turn of events, the clarifier hose tails are too small for the pipe that we've got. So we've taken off the two from the old water pump, and John's in the process of cleaning them up, and then we'll see if they'll fit.
They'll fit.
They'll fit. The two old hose tails cleaned up and popped in the water pump. I'm going to connect it all up and see if they leak. They'll be fine. And now we're going to put some coolant in the clarifier.
So it won't be just full of air.
Replacing the hose pipe. Some nice clear pipe that we can see through. There's no tools for this. This is just brute force, trying not to snap it off the tank. Excellent. That's on.
Pump is on and working lovely. The new hose is doing great, nothing's leaking. The header tank still looks rusty, but I can't get the stain out